Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys my review for The Walking Dead, Season 7, Episode 13, and this episode is called Bury Me Here, and it came out on March 12th, 2017, and this episode mainly focused on the Kingdom side of things, and this episode I thought was great. I thought it really did a good job, kind of um, building tension between the Saviors and the Kingdom, so I enjoyed that. Um, it pretty much opens up with Carol wakes up in her cabin and she goes to Morgan and wants to know what happened to um and wants to know if Daryl told her the truth about what really happened between the Saviors and Alexandria. And Morgan doesn't want to tell her because it's not his place to tell her. And um she knows too that Jesus brought Rick's group there too, so she wants to know why. And Morgan offers to bring her back to Alexandria right now, and Carol refuses. So I like that part of the episode where she kind of was conflicted, and even Morgan starts to say, "You really don't want to be alone because now that you saw people that you cared about, you really don't want to be alone." And then um, Morgan is teaching Benjamin's son Kino, and then in the uh, in the room in Morgan's room, Benjamin brings him like a poster, and he reveals that he was talking to some girl, and we then he gives him his Kino book, um, and said that he really liked reading the book because this was a sign that he didn't really want to kill. So then um, Morgan, Ken Ezekiel, Jerry, Benjamin, and Richard all get ready to make a trade with the what do they call it? A trade? No, do their supply drop off to the Saviors, and um, before that, somebody from like the Kingdom kind of came out and said that like there was something wrong with the gardens. I don't really know a lot about that type of stuff, so I can't really say what it was. But I was expecting this to be used as some sort of like storyline, where like the Saviors were going to get pissed that they saw something wrong with because they would be giving them cantaloupes that they saw something wrong with the cantaloupes, um, and um, want to fight about it. So I thought that's what was going to happen, but that's not what happened. I don't know if they tried to make it seem like Richard messed it up, but I'm not sure. But um, the main people from the kingdom are trying to go towards um the normal drop-off place where they drop off supplies, but they're blocked in by store carriages, so they all have to move them. Everybody puts their guns up and gets ready like they're looking for walkers, and Richard tells him to get his gun up. Richard even, too, had dug a hole earlier in the episode to somebody named Katie or Kate. I forget which name it was, but they're both pretty much the same name. And that kind of becomes important later. And then the saviors arrive with the kingdom, and the saviors count out the cantaloupes, but before they actually take the cantaloupes, um, the saviors force everybody to give up their guns, and Ken Ezekiel gets upset about this because this typically wasn't usually part of the deal, so he's not happy about this, and he says that if um, they have to give up their guns, Morgan gets his stick back, and um, the saviors refuse to give it to him. Um, one of the saviors, um, that so then eventually the kingdom reluctantly gives up their guns, and um, then um, then they find out that they only delivered 11 cantaloupes and they were supposed to have 12. And Ken Ezekiel doesn't believe this because he had counted 12 prior to them leaving. So the Saviors threaten to kill one of them, and we assume that it's going to be Richard because he's been having problems with the Saviors doing every one of these supply drop-offs. But it wasn't. He shoots his gun, and Kid Richard was ready for it too. He shoots it. So the Savior shoots his gun. The Savior's name was Richard even said, "Just do it." Um, and Jared, who is one of the Saviors, ends up shooting his gun, and we don't actually see who he is, but we know that we're supposed to have thought that he shot Richard. But then when it comes back from commercial, we find out that Benjamin was the one that was actually shot, and everybody wants to rush to get him back to the kingdom so he can get some medical help. But the Saviors won't let him leave. They tell him to bring back the appropriate amount next time. So then they drive off in the truck, and Richard acts like he's all haunted about this, and we don't really know why at the time, but then, but we find out later on. But then everybody takes Richard back to Kale's cabin because they realize that he won't make the trip to the kingdom, and he dies. Benjamin ends up bleeding out and dying, and Ken Ezekiel apologizes to Kale that she did it at her cabin, but they really they didn't have a choice. And Morgan starts to freak out. Carol tries to talk to him, but Morgan just walks out. And Morgan starts to kind of go back into his crazy mode that he was in before season 6, episode 4. And then we find out that somebody ended up hiding the 12th cantaloupe. So they really had it all along. And Morgan knows that it was Richard, because Richard had done this speech talking about how he was a good man earlier in the episode, but says that sometimes there's going to be a time when that's going to change, when shit hits the fan. So then, Richard reveals it was him, and he wanted to be the one that was killed because he was fine with sacrificing himself for the kingdom, so that way Ken Ezekiel would finally go into fight. He didn't plan on Benjamin being the one to be killed. And then he reveals a story about where he was when The Walking Dead actually started. And talks about how he was at a camp where there was a bunch of starving children. And he never did anything about it, which ended up causing a fire where his wife died. And then him and his daughter went 3 days without food, and his daughter died right in front of him, all because he didn't do anything about it. And he tells Morgan that sometimes when you have to deal with people like this, you have to do something about it. And then he says that he'll tell Ken Ezekiel what happened tomorrow or at some other point. And then earlier in the episode, in like the very beginning, they show Ken Ezekiel putting one cantaloupe into the back of the truck. And I thought that originally that was a very pointless scene. But now we know that that was actually symbolic because they were putting that one in to make up for the one they didn't deliver to the Saviors. So then the Saviors arrive, and one of the leader of this group, anyways, makes Jared leaves. He kicks him out for killing Benjamin, and before they actually had arrived, Richard was actually going to tell Ken Ezekiel what happened. Said he wouldn't tell Ken Ezekiel what happened until they got back to the kingdom, just because it was bad timing, and then Ken Ezekiel says that I think now is a good time to tell, and then they come, and then all that other stuff happens I just said, and then right when Richard's about to tell, about to kind of conform and let them know what's going on, Morgan hits him off the head with his keno stick and strangles him to death. And Morgan tells him everything that Richard did, and tells them that they're ready to conform now, and then everybody leaves. Morgan doesn't want to leave. He goes crazy. He buries Richard, his dead body, and he obviously stabbed him in the brain before he turned into a walker. And then we find that there was a bag that said Kate, and we had seen Richard go out there with this bag, and we didn't really know what it meant at first, but now we know that it's either his daughter or that's his daughter. And then Morgan goes crazy, starts killing a bunch of walkers like he did before, where he cleared. And then he goes and tells Kale everything that happened because he doesn't give a shit about telling her anymore. And Morgan's about to go leave and continue to clear, but then Carol tells him that you can also go and not go at the same time. So now they've switched places. Carol lives in the kingdom and tells Ken Ezekiel that we're gonna fucking fight the saviors. So that proves that they're ready for a fight. And Ken Ezekiel says not today. And Morgan is sharpening his keno stick back to a spear. And then that's pretty much the end of the episode. Overall, I gotta say, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought this was a great episode. This definitely gets an 8 out of 10. I loved um, the subtle things they did to set up the issues that the kingdom and the saviors are going to have. I loved the way they killed off Benjamin and the way they killed off Richard. I love that Morgan finally snapped and went back to his old ways because he realized he couldn't live in a world where he couldn't kill anybody anymore. And I loved it. I thought this was a great episode. It really touched on a lot of things that it needed to touch on, and it was great. So overall, that's my review of this episode. I'm probably going to review one more episode and then go to bed. So, but that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video so people will watch it. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel for more content and click on the bell so that way every time you upload a video, you guys will get the notifications for it. And make sure you guys do the same thing for my CM Brothers. And yeah, that's the only channel. So I was thinking I was on the CM Brothers channel, so I would have advertised this. But make sure you guys do the same thing for the CM Brothers channel and click on the bell so that way every time you upload a video there, you guys will get the notification for it. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.